Hey, what's going on? Ryan Nolting here. Discussing concert memories specifically from 20 years ago this year. So 2002, 2002, lots of great shows. I got six or seven here that are my favorite. Starting off with Phil Lesh and Friends, the quintet. What is the quintet? It's kind of their most famous lineup. You got Warren Haynes and Jimmy Herring on guitar. You have John Molo on drums, Rob Baracco on keyboards and vocals, and of course Phil Lesh, famous bass player from the Grateful Dead. See them in Denver, saw them in Vail, saw them in St. Louis a few times, just taking the Grateful Dead's music and really elevating it, Uh, the Grateful Dead later in their career weren't as spontaneous. The ideas weren't really there as much, with Garcia suffering from drug addiction and the band seemingly tired at this point. Warren Haynes, who of course is in Government Mule and was in the Allman Brothers, and Jimmy Herring, who's now in Widespread Panic and was in Aquarium Rescue Unit, they take this music and take it into outer space. Disco Biscuits opened up one of the shows. There may have been some brownies involved in that show, and that got a little strange, amongst other things. Rolling Stones at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Drive up with a friend. The Pretenders open up. Chrissie Hynde were fantastic live. She's just a force of nature. And seeing the Rolling Stones in a baseball stadium in Chicago on a beautiful night, just as good as it gets. Nothing in particular stands out on songs, and there's one that does, and I can't think of it. I don't want to say Ruby Tuesday, but they played a couple songs that night that I had never seen them do before. That started off a great weekend driving up into Michigan and all kinds of shenanigans, but that's a whole nother story. Smokey Robinson plays for free in St. Louis underneath the Arch every summer. Like I said in my memories of 1982, St. Louis has a fair called the VP Fair. Smokey Robinson plays. And we're going to talk about Smokey Robinson on this channel. By the way, subscribe to my channel. Click like, put some comments down. Smokey Robinson, along with Berry Gordy, basically find Motown Records. Smokey Robinson's one of the top 10 most important innovators of rock music. We're calling it rock, Motown sound. He just is. He's right up there with Chuck Berry. He's right up there with Elvis. He's still alive today. Watch the documentary, The Making of Hitsville, and how much he's part of that whole thing. I mean, it can be said he helped change the world. Certainly Motown did, and it changed music. Smokey Robinson for free underneath the Gateway Arch, unbelievable. Springsteen on the Rising Tour at an arena in St. Louis again. 7 and 7s before the show, 7 and 7s during the show, White Castles at 1 o'clock in the morning after the show. It was incredible. The Boss for the first time, just the energy, the marathon long concerts. I went with my Uncle Ken, and yeah, I think he slept with my dog that night on the couch, and with some White Castles all around and torn up boxes. That was a fun night. Wilco on the Yankee Foxtrot Zulu tour in a club at the Pageant, St. Louis again. Seeing them on that tour prior to them getting into bigger theaters, prior to them being in smaller amphitheaters. They're still playing large bar music clubs. Boy, I mean, it was an eye-opener. That spurred a huge push for me into Wilco, which exists to this day. They are a fantastic band that we'll talk more about and do a show on Wilco at some point. Bonnaroo, the first Bonnaroo Music Festival takes place in the summer of '02. I've been hearing about this music festival. Prior to Bonnaroo, there weren't a lot of music festivals like we have now. Now we have just one different type of Bonnaroo festival. Woodstock, of course, happens in '69. There's a redo of Woodstock in '94. They do it again in 99, but really there's not a lot of these huge 3-day festivals. Bonnaroo was unbelievable. We had a hotel, but once we pulled in Manchester, Tennessee, we had no way of getting out. And we also didn't have proper sleeping accommodations because we thought we were going to stay in a hotel. It was like a battle zone for 3 days. I mean, we survived on, boy, chocolates. Let's put it that way. It was fun. Widespread Panic with Steve Winwood. String Cheese Incident with Steve Winwood and Keller Williams. Different configurations of Government Mule with Les Claypool on bass and George Porter Jr. on bass, and saw Humphreys McGee for the first time, saw DJ Logic. The Keller Williams Incident with Keller and String Cheese was, to this day, still some of the best music I've ever seen live. We were ready to go home though when it was time, because it was 100 degrees for 3 days, and it was like being a refugee in the camp. And lastly, McCartney. McCartney's always great live. We're going to do a ranking of the albums of Beatles with my daughter Zoe. Took one of my buddies, Colby, who is a lifelong McCartney fan, to see this show, and he just doesn't disappoint. He's now with the band that he still has today. So, he had done a tour in 88 or 89, 90. He did another one in 93 with Robbie McIntosh on guitar and Linda McCartney. But by 02, he comes back with the current band that he has now, that he's had with Abe Laboriel and Rusty Anderson. The longest running band in his career, longer than the Beatles. Great times, great memories from 02. What were your favorite concerts of 2002? Let me know. Subscribe to my channel. Have a good one. See you.